Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Flying Kraken here, and I have something a little bit different for you guys this time. Is another gameplay and um, deck tech video for you guys, but this is a little bit different. This is wild. I was a little bit bored of standard. There's not a lot of cards in the pool. We're still waiting on the next set. Not really a ton of druid decks out there for us to play. So I thought about, why don't we take it to wild? Can I translate my druid expertise into wild? And really, I know that I'm new to wild and all that kind of stuff, but this is my version of Highlander Druid, and I really had a blast with this deck on stream, and we went 15-2. Deck could not lose. I believe both losses were just me misplaying a little bit and doing things out of order. But we have a lot of cards to talk about, so let's get through this. I'll try to talk about everything, or at least most of it, and let the gameplay show the rest of what you can do with this deck. So let's start off with what this deck is. This deck is a Dragon Kusaku-san Singleton Highlander Reno, whatever you want to call it, deck. And it's super flexible, and it can handle every situation that there is in Wild, and you can win every matchup. Some matchups are very draw dependent, so you will have to draw certain cards to get past certain things, and we'll talk about that when we get to those cards. But first, let's talk about the usual stuff. I always start with the ramp when it comes to Druid. If we're playing a ramp deck, what are we ramping with? We have Breath of Dreams, we have Overgrowth, we have Nourish, Guff, and that is it for ramp. I will go ahead and notice Zephrys is kind of a ramp card. If you have it in your opening hand, you play it on 2, you can get Wild Growth on 3. You do this a lot more than you would think you would, unless it's a matchup where you feel like you're going to have to wipe the board or something like that, but it's very helpful to get the Wild Growth. Aquatic Form, easy search. Gloop has a package with Flipper Friends and Scale of Onyxia and Raid Boss Onyxia, token cards, and also Poison Seeds. If you play Gloop and you Poison Seeds, all the minions you just made 2/2s will also give you mana for it, so you might earn more mana than you spent into it. Same goes with Flipper Friends and Skill of Onyxia, and Onyxia herself. All her little tokens will gain you a bunch of mana, and you can kind of go off almost like a miracle deck a little bit. And I think this allows your deck that has a lot of big cards in the deck to play more than one of those big cards per turn. So that's a little mini package right there. We're playing a lot of dragons, so play Breath of Dreams. We are playing Sphere of Sapience with Twig of the World Tree. You want to play Twig of the World Tree, play Sphere over it. You get all that mana. With Guff, it gains you 10 mana into almost 20 mana. I will go ahead and say that if you have Sphere in your opening hand and don't wait on Twig of the World Tree to play it, this can help your draws out a lot. It lets you basically just guide your draws to be very well, because you do play one of every card, so you do need to see specific cards specific times more often than not, so that helps there. Same with the Twig. If you get Twig before Sphere and you find there's a turn where you can easily start whacking people for 1 damage to get this online, feel free to do so. Not a big deal. Dirty Rat, awesome card, can mess up combo decks versus aggro decks like Buff Paladin and stuff. You can get those buff cards onto the battlefield without them able to buff things. Get the little bit minions on the battlefield. It's a 2/6, so a lot of times versus aggro decks like Pirate Rogue and stuff like that, you can keep things around. Same with Lunar Eclipse, it's for an anti-aggro card. Moonlit Guidance, that's the same with all standard cards. It's one of the best druid cards ever printed. It's amazing. Zephrys handles any situation, can be a win condition, can save the game, can be a ramp, it can be anything you want to, silence, whatever. Bran, it just goes with everything in this deck. It goes with Dirty Rat, Zephrys, Okanai, Zola, Floop sometimes if starting the battlefield, Elise, which you don't use Elise very often, Emerald Explorer, Reno, Mutanis, Alexstrasza, both Alexstrazzas. I mean, you can just go on and on. Bran has never been better in this deck. So you got Ferocious Howl for draw and armor, Zola for copying all your good minions that you get, Blade Master is kind of a tech slot. You don't have to play Blade Master. It was kind of our 30th card that we add to the deck. You can play Viper if you're into a lot of weapons, but I don't think you're seeing a lot of weapons. So Okanai just kind of is really solid. Plays on curve very well. Branching Pass, flexible, Floop, for the same reason Brand's good, Floop is good. You play a bunch of good minions that do a bunch of good things. And having second copies of any of your minions in your deck is always relevant. It's won me a ton of games. Getting second copies of the Alexstrasza's are really, really good. Getting second copies of Elise after a while is really, really good. There's sometimes where like you have two or three cards in your hand and one is Elise, or like 4 cards, and then you play Elise, and then you play this card, and now your hand is filled with like 4 copies, or like 3 copies of a bunch of good cards, basically. And so that works out a lot. Overgrowth, Poison Seeds is excellent removal versus hard to clear boards for Druid. We already talked about Twig. Elise is one of the Highlander cards of this deck with Zephyrus and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza and Reno and all that stuff. She is really, really good for just making doubles of all your cards, and I think the problem with a lot of Highlander decks is they have played one of everything, but Druid can get double copies, and it takes advantage in Wild. The card pool in Wild is so strong that getting extra copies of anything in your deck is really, really strong. We talked about Flipper Friends earlier. Lotheb is incredible versus spell-based decks, and versus a lot of decks you can actually lock them out of the game by playing Lotheb, and then like branding Zola, getting multiple copies of Lotheb, or branding Lotheb to lock them out. Very, very solid card, has been since the original days. Very, very strong. Nourish, Guff, about. Inland Explorer is just a good dragon to have in the deck. It fits the curve very well. Not a lot of 6 drops, with the other being Reno Jackson. In Reno Jackson, you're not really playing on 6 a lot of times, because unless it's an aggro deck, just because you won't be that low on health. You do gain a lot of armor in this deck, so you need another 6 drop. Inland Explorer helps with that. Reno Jackson is probably one of the main reasons to play the deck, and obvious why he's good. Mutanus, great with Brand, great with Gloob. Mutanus is super important to this deck. Well, I was talking about earlier, there's a lot of matchups that are combo based or certain minion based or something like that, and you need Mutanus with Brand and Gloob to win those games a lot of times, because your deck is just not going to interact with them enough. So you do really need Mutanus, and you'll be looking for this card a lot. Skill of Nixia. About this card. Kazaku-san, how good this card is. It's just as good in Wild. And Wild, it gets even more crazy, because a lot of times you can just make extra copies of this card and go through many, many, many Kazaku-sans. I think in one game we went through like 4 on stream, and still it took, how we had got the 4, who knows, but it was really, really good. Alexstrasza is just a solid dragon, really good for helping you, killing your opponent, all that kind of stuff. Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, a while back it got its nerf redone. It's back to the dragons costing 0. There's no better card in the entire game to activating Kazaku-san outside of Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. They can mutate some of your dragons, and this is 3 dragons on its own. So you activate Kazaku-san super, super consistently, getting multiple copies of this card will win you the game. Playing this on 9 sometimes will win you the game. This will Brand when your hand is empty is winning the game. It's just really, really good. And Ray Boss Anixia is just solid card. I know I went through this deck tech pretty quick, but I just want to get through all the cards, and since there's not doubles of any cards, it would take me a lot longer if I took more time. If you have any questions on this deck, feel free to leave a comment asking any questions about any matchups with this deck. I will be happy to answer. But this deck is super flexible. I hope y'all enjoy it. It is a little bit pricey with all the legendaries, but right now some of them are free due to being in the core set, so I hope y'all can enjoy. Here's some gameplay. Happy diving. I dusted Hadronox a long time ago. I did miss her though, because one of my favorite standard decks of all time was the Hadronox deck in standard. I love that deck. Okay, we got ramp, we got some draw, we got stuff, Dreaming so exhausted from working in the heat. I bet I know. I definitely know it's hot there. And look, hey, both our teams made it to the World Series of Baseball. We both lost, right? But it is what it is. At least we made it. Another thing that our teams have in common. Okay, well, our plan for the next couple of turns is pretty easy. We just draw ramp. Astro beat the Mets. Yeah, I should have figured you were an Astros fan. I haven't kept it baseball too much. I'm a Cubs fan, so we were good. We got our World Series. I was happy, had a fun time, and then we're back to sucking, I guess. So it's just like, I guess this could also be a Highlander deck, but is it Malfurion, Death Knight, or Gov? Well, obviously Team Gov, because Gov is just the best boy out there. Yeah, they had the game on at Metashaw and I was hanging out while the kids were in therapy. I don't get to watch baseball too often. I enjoy baseball as a sport a ton, but I just don't watch it a ton, honestly. I used to play it a lot until in high school or till high school. I'm always Team Guff. I used to be Team Malfurion. I used to love the Malfurion Death Knight a lot. It was one of the main reasons I played Wild for a while. Was because I wanted to play him. And of course, with me, my first deck ever hitting Legend or High Legend. The first deck I ever hit a top 100 Legend was Jade Druid back in the day with like Coon and Malfurion and all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed those decks back then, I guess. But interesting. Well, here's a song about Cthulhu for any of y'all are still doing squiggly monsters or whatever. What? What? Ziliax. Okay. Oh, yeah, the best option. Ah! Squiggly monsters? There's a Japanese word for that? Oh, yeah? That's not what that word means, Nazar. That's not what that word means. You're adding your own definition. I mean, this man's going all in on the... Interesting. The blasting tower. Mutanus' monsters so he can resist creature. Yeah, we will. We're hoping to draw Brian with then. I don't care about him resing 2/6s at the moment. He can res all the 2/6s he wants. I could care less. Res them all. Res all the 2/6s in the world. Fill your whole board with 2/6s. We do not care. We don't care about his board. But now we'll do this. He doesn't have any, so all spells in. Like, the fact that he's playing Infiltrator, I just don't care, really. Like, I just don't care that he has Infiltrator. Like, I really don't. This guy is just like wave of empathy or apathy, not empathy, apathy. Breath of the infinite. Okay, that's a good one. Not the craziest thing in the world, but we have a chance to like get something with Rush here, maybe. We get the Hound. Okay, we got that. Okay. 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 Interesting. Oh, okay. That's a good one. We take that. We take that, guys. We take that. That's a win. That was a good one to get. Yasir's Awaken. Oh, yes! You get that we... Okay. Oh. Oh. I can't do that, but... We're doing this really poorly, guys, so don't judge me on this one. Here, you can have this. Vampire Fangs. Destroy this. Sure. This. We're making another copy! We're making their copy, guys. We're playing 3 Kazakhstans in the game if we have to. More Kazakhstan. More Kazakhstan. More, yeah. Otter! And we're just not going to kill that thing right now, honestly. The otter is the goat, dude. We got otter back, we can't lose now. Otter means good stuff, you know. He awakens. Awakened otter. Awakened otter becomes 10/10. Cannot be blocked. Or cannot be, taunts cannot guard him. Has charge. Man's playing all his death rattles. Like we won't draw word of whatever soon. What's up, man? Should have made more copies of that one, maybe, but it don't matter too much. More Kazakhstans! More Kazakhstans! Just run into jank. Not gonna lie though, Hearthstone is low-key expensive. It's expensive. I do think it's a good bit more cheaper and easier to get into than a lot of card games though. I think they've definitely come a long way. Can you have the Kraken flying, the flying Kraken into Woo? Oh my goodness, no. The only reason I was able to keep doing Magic for the long as I could, especially standard-wise, like modern, like Eternal formats, like I think Yu-Gi-Oh falls in that category, right? Where games that have Eternal formats that are competitive and have a good scene and everything, you're able to, those kind of card games, you're able to spend less money because it has more of an upfront investment, where you can pick a deck that like you have to spend money up front for the first part, and then as long as it doesn't get completely wiped by nerfs or something like that, you can just add cards to it as you go along. I think they're like that stuff is better, but standard in any card game is so expensive. And Hearthstone, the Battle Pass definitely helped. The Battle Pass is incredibly huge for this for standard Hearthstone. But like I couldn't do Magic for as long as I did if I didn't have somebody like let me borrow cards for tournaments. Basically, it just would not have happened. I'm glad we added Overgrowth. I don't know why Lozics aren't having Overgrowth in their deck, but as he just gets as long term, it all depends on the player. Yeah, I agree. I think I feel like it depends. If you're like, yeah, if you're like a competitive player, then you know you're almost required to like, you're like almost required to spend X amount of money per year or whatever, right? You're required to spend X amount of money per month, X every couple of months, because you need the cards immediately to compete on THL or whatever competitive tournament, you know, Battlefy, whatever it is, you know, trying to qualify, all those kind of things. you need to get the cards for the good decks immediately, whatever the good decks are at that time. If you're like a semi-casual player or whatever, you know, you don't play tournaments, but you like just playing Hearthstone or whatever here and there. But you still want cards, you know, you can buy the Battle Pass, maybe get the cheap bundle instead of the big bundle, and you're fine, you know. But that's about it, you know. Oh, this is the metal version of Hello, so. It's easy to play competitively. Now, if you want to have fun, it's the other thing. Is your best bet right now. It creates the indirect function of any set always pay itself. Yeah. Ah. This is fine. Zola's fine. I'll do the new card though. Maybe we should have kept Zola, but we might have to get a chance to get it back. It creates an indirect function for the main set and always pays for itself. Yeah, I agree on that. Shutterwatch Shamey, yeah, so it's a Shutterwatch Shamey. It gives a taunt again, so. I knew we were gonna run into one of these tonight. It may be a arena version. Can we find Brand? They're a minion deck usually, so the pass starts out terrible, but it gets a lot better. I mean, I like because the fact that you get like 3 or 4 legend like total right from the pass or something like that, maybe even 5. And then if you happen to save for like the mini set or whatever, like the $50 version of the pass or for the bundle, and then you get like kind of like 2 legendaries there kind of. So you know, starting off like that is a good bit. I'll go into my back in my day speech. We're like, back in my day when I played Hearthstone and we were back in the whispers of the old gods, all they gave us was a bundle. We didn't have nothing else. No free legendary in the first 10 packs. No anything. I think that was one of the biggest things. The fact that you get a legendary in the first 10 packs of any new set you open or whatever is pretty big. And like you said, the diamond one, they've been pretty consistent about keeping the diamond one like a playable card, at least for the most part, I think. So that's definitely a good thing, right? We didn't even get passes. Yeah, and login legendary, yeah. So what are we going for here? We can do another one. We can cancel. We can do a counter another minion. Let's draw a card. Oof. It could be risky, but it is what it is, you know. We're gonna burn a card. Not very happy of it, but it is what it is, you know. So he's not a Highlander deck. Snowfall Guardian, interesting. Poison Seasons, but let's see if we get lucky. So no Zola, I guess, but grumble me grumble. Avalanche. Thank you for the alert, Draco Palace. I appreciate it. Okay, we're past both Snowfall Guardians, right? Nice passing by. Yeah, I appreciate it. Much love. Still no Shutterwalk though, so such a hard decision, really. I mean, honest, I'm just gonna play Gov. He's probably not gonna do anything like that, but we really need Bran. But I mean, he doesn't. So the problem with like Mutanus now is that he doesn't have Shutterwalk, right? So, he's not. He doesn't have it in his hand, so he's just like stuck in this world where we're like, you know, not doing it. Well, there's the Bran. Definitely trading there. We're definitely gaining a mana. We'll do something like this. Alright, just don't draw Shadowwalker, I guess. No! Literally, you could have done any of the other one. Literally. No, why? He could have done any of the other ones. I don't care about the other ones. Well, none of those were what we wanted, so... Well, we assumed this is what it was, so... Is Shudderwalk his last card? Shudderwalk's his last card. We just win! Shudderwalk, more like Shuddergone.